Cyber Innovations in the Private Sector highlights case studies and the latest industry trends from private vendors. Explore innovative solutions, success stories, and exclusive insights from industry leaders. Stay ahead with the cutting-edge developments driving the industry forward. Welcome to a new episode of Cybersec TV. Today we have an interview with Carolin Töpfer, founder and CEO of Cytraction.
So, Carolin, thank you for being here. Can you please present yourself and talk about how you end here working in this passionate world of cybersecurity?
Sure. I'm Carolin. On one side, I'm the entrepreneurial chief information security officer. So I combine my entrepreneurial background and actually people who had asked me to help them with their cybersecurity strategy. This is where I'm coming from IT forensics, and then being asked to be a CISO. And on the other side, I'm the founder of Cytraction, and we are working on a global learning platform for risk training and knowledge management, think around cybersecurity, but also first aid and public safety.
You work as a CISO, build startups, and spoken globally on tech policy. In your view, are corporate leaders doing enough to prioritize digital resilience, or are we still playing a catch-up?
It's not just startups. It's actually companies between 10 to 1,000 employees, and very often also clients on their IT infrastructures. And what I can tell you is that on the startup side and with the small businesses, I think a lot of regulators fail to tell companies and to tell decision makers that they have to do something. We now see with everything around critical infrastructure and NIS2 in Europe that they try to follow up also with building the European competence centers. And for the bigger companies and for everybody knowing they are affected by regulation or even by attacks or being part of the supply chain, of critical infrastructure, banking, insurance, and all this kind of big corporates who are asking for more cybersecurity, it's we have to wait until it goes into these industries. We're now still at the point where people are talking to each other. First, compliance questionnaires are sent, and leaders try to follow up to educate themselves about why cybersecurity. Is it only a tech project? For many, it's in the meantime for reputation management as well, or because they've seen the attacks, they've seen also lawsuits against companies, and now over time, cybersecurity is entering into business.
So Lacework called you a CISO to watch. What are the blind spots that companies overlook when hiring or relying on cybersecurity leadership today?
We just had a great, or let's say sad discussion in an expert group for DORA regulation and third-party risk management, and we are currently working on a aligned questionnaire so that the whole third-party risk management is somehow in the same frameworks. And then we had one person saying, okay, now as we have the questions figured out, can we also have some standard answers? And I was like, no, absolutely not, because that's a CISO's job. It's not just the person with a job title, it's somebody with the knowledge and in best case holistic view on cybersecurity, talking to the tech team, talking to the vendors, also when they're remaining vendors, figure out if you can still work together on a higher security level, and keep everything in mind, and also make own decisions, being able to make own decisions about the whole potpourri, the whole collection you have to put together on a technical side, but also on the human side for a good cybersecurity strategy. So I think that this example says a lot where we're standing there at the moment, and where we have very often gaps also over time, when companies started with working on their cybersecurity strategy, for example, years ago, when they have been actually very early, or tech companies very on top of cybersecurity, but then over time, there are gaps building, AI is coming in and all of things. So you have to be very sharp, and you also have to be able to make this sometimes also hard decisions and tell board leaders why hard decisions are important for good cybersecurity strategies can't be breached by the next hacker or social engineering attempt.
Your platform focuses on gamification, and particularly on younger users with decreasing attention spans. What does engagement look like in a world of 8-second digital tolerance?
Yeah, but I think we are more between 1.3 and 1.8 seconds in the meantime, at least when it comes to the first hint, the first attraction of a topic. So what we've seen is it's not just for younger users. Like for younger users, it's interesting, for example, if they would accept AI avatars. Like this is a thing we do a lot of research around. But actually, we have a lot of information, a lot of research, metadata from the last 5 years of people 18 to 65 and plus. And that's quite interesting when it comes to also social peer groups, different industries, media and education, preferences, if you like it like that. And also the acceptance of different risk and fear topics, like with cybersecurity, but especially with first aid, we're talking about something where we as humans actually would prefer to run away than to lean into a situation to be a first responder. So yeah, there's a lot that we still learn while building the platform. Like we just had situations where we're now talking to cities and governments, and they are telling us, yeah, there are actually millions more people that we would love to train with your solution than we had it in our business plan. What's on one side great, on the other side, as I'm responsible for the secure and scalable product side as well, you know, like it's a different if you build a scalable education solution that's also ISO certified for some 10 million people, or if we go into the 100 millions from very early on. So yeah, it's an ongoing learning thing. And like what I think is the most interesting is that we're still bridge builders. You know, we think people are so digital, people are self-learners, self-motivated, but most people are not. You know, most people have their full-time job, and then they come home and they are tired, or they want to spend time with their family, and they are not these like self-motivated learners that we see very often between entrepreneurs or journalists, or those people who have this job that's dependent on self-learning and self-motivated learning. So yeah, that's quite interesting, how to attract people, how to catch them, get them into these risk topics. And what we actually want to do is like we want to train them the topics and educate them about the topics that we all hope they never need. But like in a worst case situation, when there is a flood, a fire, or somebody needs health support, that they know what to do, that they have the knowledge, but they also feel empowered, and they don't have the feeling I need to run away, but they have the feeling, yeah, I can do that, I can help them.
Cybersecurity risks are evolving, so it's AI. What are you watching most closely in the next 12 to 18 months in terms of threat landscape and user behavior?
Yeah, what we see is that, let's say 5-6 years ago, cybersecurity found out that we can't just invest in tech and software, but we have to invest in people. This is still a thing we stick with, you know, like we still have employees at companies who have a highly critical IT infrastructures who fail to train their employees and also their leaders on cybersecurity, but also different other things. And with AI, I'm even more worried because, you know, it's adding up, you know, like if you never had a good cybersecurity strategy, you never were able to discuss technical like new solutions or evolving technologies, digital disruption with your employees, also from a human side, from a social side, the resilience part as well is a big thing. Then like how should you do it now with AI, with like people being afraid? You know, I've just seen in the Silicon Valley there are those posters in the public that people say we don't want AI, and what they actually don't want is that AI takes their jobs. And if you have this kind of fear, that's never a good start to like have a look at a new technology that can also bring so much good. And on the other side, the threat scenarios are, most CISOs say in the meantime, it's like not even 50% tech anymore, that technical infrastructures will be attacked, but like this whole social engineering thing is happening on a total new level, you know, when it's spear phishing. And like most people, when you talk about phishing, they're yeah, those emails with the typos, you know, from the 90s. It's like, no, now you have hacked business partners and you had a conversation with them and they follow up on an email and you think you know this person and you think you know the company, but like it's all fake because like they got hacked and maybe 5 years ago, and now they use these email conversations against you to get like your data, your money out of your company. And we're seeing companies not just like being hacked in a way that they would have a data leak and end up like in any investigation or in the media, but we see companies like spending millions to bank accounts, like transferring millions to bank accounts they don't know. And then we also have this case of like money laundering potentially.
Carolin, NIS2 mandates that boards take direct responsibility on cyber risks. What kind of training do directors need to move from passive oversight to active accountability?
the baseline for every training, no matter who's sitting in front of you or who you have in a virtual training room, should be there is no baseline. You know, we didn't all go to the same schools. We don't have the same digital literacy. No matter if you have a board leader or if you have an assistant or like the person who's just first day at the company. And then the more often you train people, the more often you see people, the better you can react to what questions they have and what fears they have, and like pick them where they are and then bring them to a new set of knowledge. That's also important because in the most cases, we're still talking about having a cybersecurity training once a year or every other year. And that's far away from enough, because with these new attacks and all these things going on and the open questions, people don't know who to ask, like once a year, it's never enough. So the more often you can provide a training, and even if it's like just an open invitation without like any force, the better the training. And also when you can offer a Q&A session or like just an open ear, you know, when you say we make a 30-minute training, like with a standard curriculum, so you're up to date and you can say we learned what we need to learn as board members, for example. But then you say, whenever there's a question coming up the next day or the next week, I'm still here, you can ask me questions. Like this is actually where the magic happens, where people really engage with the training and they think about, you know, it starts to tick. Yeah, there was something strange email, or I heard this from a friend or cousin, like how is this going? This is where it really sticks. And then get into this interaction with the people, because like one I can also tell you from my YouTube channel, you know, where we're posting 3 YouTube shorts every day at the moment. So that will end up with like several hundreds until the end of this year. And sometimes people are like, oh my God, how do you come up with all these topics? I'm like, yeah, I'm talking to people. You know, I have a call with a client, or like on LinkedIn, people send me questions and I just answer it in a YouTube video. And this way you have like more than 100 or 1,000 ways to answer cybersecurity questions, because when you interact with people, you know, that they will bring the topics and they will bring the questions.
Carolin, can you please tell the name of your channel on YouTube so people can follow?
Yeah, it's Cyber with Carolin. Happy to share the link. And if you have any questions, as I said, just send them over.
That's great. That's great. So thank you very much for being here. I hope to see you soon in another episode.
Thank you.